Welcome into the Hoptown Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Wade Campbell, episode 21. I'm joined, as usual, by TJ James and our guest this week, Sam Blaine. Fellas, how y'all doing?
Pretty good.
We're good.
Survived the first week of the NFL, all the craziness, the cringe game of last night's malpractice coaching. I still can't believe that.
Yeah, it feels good to be on the couch all day Sunday with fantasy pulled up and sweating out these matchups. I didn't have a stake in last night really, but it was really riveting watching some of the matchups unfold.
Yeah. It was. So this would definitely be a longer episode. We had our draft 2 weeks ago, and we did not get to do a draft episode. So we're going to talk about the draft, go over our week one matchups. There's already been some trades, first three-way trade in the history of the league. A little controversial maybe as far as why it happened, perhaps. And then, of course, the ever popular TJ power rankings. So
it's funny too. Let's just put it this way. If we had talked about the trade when it happened, I think the opinions would be way different than they already are with the events that have transpired.
I agree with that. So first, like I said, we're going to dive into the draft. So just to give an update or a reminder what the draft order was, it was John Morgan first pick, then Austin, Jax, me, round out the top four, LB, Hayden, TJ, Jack, 5 through 8, and Colin, Sam, John, Tom, and Dylan, 9 through 12. So, fellas, was there any surprise with the first round? I guess just to give an overview who went in the first round, JT, Derek, C-Mac, Eckler went top four. Then Cook, Cooper Kupp, JJ, Justin Jefferson, Chase went 5 through 8. And then Diggs went 9 to Collins. Mixon went 10 to Sam. Harris, Najee Harris 11th, and Kamara 12th. So any surprises to y'all as far as how it went, who went where, any reaches?
I don't think there were any big surprises. I guess I was saying the whole time I was going to take Kelsey, and then in the couple of days leading up, I had a little change of heart. But I don't know. It looks like, it's a little early to say this, but Derrick Henry at 2 could be tough with how the Titans offense looked yesterday, Sunday. So
I will say, I think Hayden getting Kupp at 6 and TJ you getting Jefferson at 7 may look like steals, at least
big time.
At least at this point. But I agree, there's not really been any reaches or anything like that. TJ, you have any thoughts?
Sorry, I was working on some stuff before, so I'm trying to eat dinner too. But so I was going to say too, I think the best way after we talk about it, we can all kind of give our best value pick of the draft and or of each round for maybe first or 7, and then worst. I think the first round was super standard. Like the first round was after the first round, our draft got really interesting. Like people were really good guys.
It did.
The first round was super, super standard. I do think there's value in those 4 straight receivers that all got taken. I think they were the top 4 guys this week. So
then
Deanna been in there.
Yeah, but now I will say I was talking to Sam about this, and based off how the first round went, I do think, like I said, I think getting Jettas and Kupp where we got them is very big value. But I think really watching how everything unfolded and just the way it's all looking, I think Mixon's going to be a top 3 back, and getting him at that back end of the first round is going to provide a lot.
I feel great about Mixon. He got I think he got 34 touches on Sunday.
Sheesh.
And they're throwing it to him. It seems like it doesn't seem like they're going to use Chris Evans as much as they've used third down backs in the past.
Yeah.
And the clear panic pick in this round is going to be Derrick Henry at 2. I will say this though. Last year, Austin took Jonathan Taylor. I texted him about this. He took Jonathan Taylor in the first 2 weeks, did not look good at all. So, like I said, I am worried. I have concerns about the Titans. We're all Titans fans, but I do think that that's the concern of the first draft. I don't blame him for doing it. Like a lot of people.
No, I think
It's
But-
too early to panic, but there's definitely concern.
yeah. I
But
think the
everybody else-
situation. I mean, what Derek's 28, 29. JT was a rookie last year, so there's a little bit age concern and freshness and all that. But like y'all said, definitely not any time to panic or worried or nothing like that.
No. We can talk about this more when we like talk about matchups and everything, but I'm curious to hear your all's opinion on, do you think that elite C-Mac is still there? But we'll talk about that when we get into the matchups and talk about teams.
Yeah, we will do that. So, but yeah, I agree with you. Just talking about values, round it and talk before we move on to the second round. Those 4 wide receivers right there with Cup, Jefferson, Chase, and Diggs with 6th through 9th picks were all equal values, and of course Sam getting Mixon as well, where he got him. So second round, so Dylan started us back off in the second round. He went Kelsey. John Tom went D Adams. Sam with maybe a little bit of surprise pick in Debo. Then we had Collins with Swift, Jack with Javonte, maybe another little surprise pick. TJ went Saquon. Hayden went Aaron Jones. LB Fournette. I took the second tight end off the board, Mark Andrews. Jax with Nick Chubb, and then Austin got Tyreek, and Jane rounded out the second round with Lamb. Fellas, just starting off with Lamb, or should there be concern with CD in this Cowboys offense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a bad pick. I think this is something we should talk about, like on our opinions on these players more, like when we're talking about the matchups.
Yeah.
Because we can talk more about like what's unfolded since then.
Well, yeah.
Off like where we went in the draft.
Yeah, he went, you're right. But yeah, where he went in the draft is not a bad
think
pick at all.
picking Debo where I got him, that was kind of a surprise. I was really considering Swift too, but I mean, I don't know. I just really like Debo. I know they're going to use him a ton. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have taken a running back there, and then, I mean, hindsight's 2020. But when it gets back around to me taking AJ Brown, that would have looked very nice. But I like Debo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I like the pick. I thought the pick was fine because I like Debo as well.
I think Debo's fine. And he's done well, and he's going to get a lot of carries and a lot of touches, so he'll be good. I think my favorite pick of this round, or maybe the most value pick, I think we just all literally like let him slide so far, and credit to Jax for just having the just the being like putting it behind and drafting him. Getting Nick Chubb that late, as bad as everybody was off of Nick Chubb, and we had these other guys ahead of him. I mean, the guy has a great offensive line. He's the focal point of the offense. And I just think he might not be the elite RB1, but he's just going to be so steady. And he's just so good that I think he's going to get touchdowns and put up yards to where he'll have good weeks more than not. So,
yeah, I think Austin also got a great pick with Tyreek falling that.
Yeah.
Where he did.
Tyreek is going to be a stud. I mean, to no surprise, really, but
right. I mean, this is a dude that was going back into the first last year, and he's fallen back into the second this year.
Yeah.
Or fell back into the second. So great value pick there by Austin, I think. Y'all have any other thoughts with this second round?
I mean, I think a gutsy pick, as you alluded to already, was that Javonte Williams went a little earlier than where he standardly goes, but as we see, he's
going to be a beast.
So much talent. And whether or not he's going to return value on that 2-5 spot he got taken at is difficult to see because of this whole situation he's in. I doubt he gets as many dump offs. Like, I think he'll get involved in the passing game, not like he did Monday night.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
The talent is there, and he's really, really good. It's just, it'll be curious to see, like, will it ultimately be able to pan out with Melvin getting as much work as he does?
Yeah. No, I agree with
Golden
that.
goes down. I mean,
Yeah,
good
if he goes out, I mean, Javante top
three.
3.
Probably.
Yeah.
But
So, I mean,
there
yeah,
wasn't any bad picks. I mean, honestly, the one that's glaring now is CD Lamb. But
yeah,
like, I think it was really
That-
good value where he got him initially.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not knowing what was going to happen, that was a great value pick there. It's just unfortunate, I guess. Which I still think CD will be fine. I don't think he'll be the wide receiver 1, but I think he'll still be fine.
So I agree. Now start with the third. I feel like the third is where things started to get a little more interesting. Jane started us off with James Conner, Austin with Michael Pittman, Jax took Keenan Allen, I took Mike Evans. LB took the first quarterback with Josh Allen. Hayden took Mike Williams. TJ, you took Pitts, the third tight end off the board. Jack was Zeke. Collins with T. Higgins. Sam took David Montgomery. John Tom took Herbert. And Dylan took Cam Akers. I think they can't. Yeah, I even before what happened Thursday night, I was really shocked Dylan took Cam Akers in the third round.
Well, I think the big takeaway from this third round is there's a lot of guys that may not pan out. Like, this is where like people either hit or didn't hit.
Yeah.
Who do y'all think was the best pick of this round? Because I've actually, I've thought of,
I think Pittman probably went a little ahead of his ADP there, but I mean, he is going to be insane, I think, this year.
Yes, he's going to be really nice. LB very well could have got.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Josh is maybe that's a little early for a QB, but
I mean, Josh Allen's
freaking insane and is a monster.
yeah.
But I mean, TJ's right there. There's a lot of people in here that may not pan out. I mean, you got Cam Akers, David
Keenan Allen already hurt.
Kyle Pitts
Keenan Allen's
might be
already
not
hurt.
working.
But yeah, I mean, David Montgomery's already given up some snaps to Khalil Herbert. Like T. Higgins, of course, is already hurt. We know the Zeke situation. I mean, Pitts was awful week 1. Mike Williams wasn't that great either. So there's a lot of people on here that
I'm not concerned about most of these guys in the third round. I'm concerned about Akers, obviously. Zeke, I am concerned about just because that offense is going to stink. Keenan Allen, obviously, with the injury, but I think Pitts bounces back. I think Mike Williams bounces back. T. Higgins, I mean, it's a concussion. Maybe he misses one game, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think clearly so far what it looks like, but you had also a factor in he went very early in the third round. So like, I think, and with how good our league is now, and I think everybody's really knowledgeable and has good strategy. I do think actually the best pick to actually do it when, I was curious about it because, a lot of people are really adamant holding back for quarterbacks. And I usually actually do the same. I didn't do it this year, but being able to just, LB being able to say, you know what, screw it. I'm going to take Josh Allen here at 3.5. And, I'm thinking about it, man. And Josh Allen is just such a beast. I mean, I'd say more weeks than not, he's going to go over that like 24, 25 point threshold.
Sure.
And like, that's really, as much as there's in a one QB league, there's not huge discrepancies. I mean, like being able to have a guy that's going to do that most every week is really so valuable. Like getting those points you can't really do that from like any position except for maybe like 2 or 3 positional guys. So I think that's just a really good pick he made. And like, that's like something that experts may not traditionally think is good, but I like that he just went ahead and did it. He was like, if he's there, I'm going to take him. He did. But other than that, I think prior to obviously the pick nobody liked was Akers. I was not going to draft Akers ever. Yeah, I couldn't really get myself to believe in the Zeke hype either. Like I saw where the value was theoretically, but
which I think that was the hype was mostly before the left tackle Smith got hurt.
Mhm.
And I think once that happened, people jumped off the train,
Yeah.
off the hype train.
Now, me and Sam both were guys that I think believed in David. This is also everybody was down on David Montgomery, and me and Sam, we weren't like necessarily ecstatic about him, but we just were
Yeah.
like,
I mean, I wasn't down on him either.
Well,
I
I've said it was a
where I
holding
was, I
nose
just
pick
went,
when I picked him.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
he did. We can talk. Well, I'll get into Montgomery later.
Yeah.
But we should just kind of try to move through these rounds a little quickly.
Yeah. So, all right. So 4th round, Dylan started us off, took AJ Brown, John Tom, Travis Etienne. Sam took Sutton, Collins, DJ Moore, and then Jack and TJ went Mahomes. Jack went Mahomes, TJ Lamar's back-to-back QBs there. Hayden, Deontay Johnson, LB took Waddle. I took I can really say his first name, but Amon is how you say his first name. Amon St. Brown. Jax took Terry McLaurin. Mason took Brees Hall, and John Morgan took George Kittle. So I think 2 things stand out to me. The AJ at great value with AJ Brown by Dylan. It was PU pick with Cam Akers, and then came right back and great value pick with AJ Brown. And number 2, I think a lot of people were surprised I took St. Brown in the 4th round.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, he was good week 1.
Including myself, because that was never the plan to draft him there. But yeah, like y'all said, he had 20-something fantasy points, so obviously it worked out at least for week 1.
Yeah, and Goff is still feeding them, so that's a good pick. That's a good trust your gut pick that you liked over some other guys. I think, other than AJ Brown being in the 4th, but I kind of bucketed him in as like Dylan's 3rd round pick.
Yeah, right.
There's just going to be guys like, I don't know if I'd have gone Brees Hall at 411, but he very well could pan out.
Mm-hmm.
He got he got 10 targets.
Yeah. So,
I'd
Sam sniped Sutton from under my nose. My whole plan was going Sutton this round.
Yeah. I was huge on Sutton. I wanted him.
I was also hoping to get Sutton.
Yeah.
But
prior to the 3rd round, I think honestly every pick within this round was solid. DJ Moore, there's concerns, but you can't not pass on him at this point. So
yeah.
I think John Morgan could have done something else than Kittle. I understand his theoretical upside, but I'm just not big on Kittle at all this year with
I'm out on Kittle.
Yeah. I think maybe where he got him, it was fine, like you said, but
there was just some guys I was out on unless they fell
penalty.
I would have taken Dalton Schultz over George Kittle personally.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go over the next 2 rounds if that's cool with y'all.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So
we can just go after these 2 rounds, we can just go through and
value. That's what I was planning
on.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on.
Okay.
So we got the 5th and 6th round here. So Josh Jacobs with the 501. Jane took him. Then got Jerry Jeudy by Austin, Kyler Murray by Jax. I took Allen Robertson. LB took AJ Dillon. Hayden took Dalton Schultz. TJ took Juju, which I think was a little surprise to people. Then you got Brandon Cooks to Jack. Collins got Hurts. Sam took Hollywood. John Tom, DK. And Dylan took Chris Godwin. So that's the 5th round. And then to start the 6th, Dylan took Elijah Mitchell. John Tom took Mike Tom. Sam took Waller. Collins took Darnell Mooney. Jack took J.K. Dobbins. TJ took Rashad Bateman. Hayden took Joe Burrow. LB took Gabe Davis. I took Adam Thielen. Jax took Gibson. Austin took Clyde. And John Morgan took Amari Cooper. So that, like I said, that's the 5th and 6th rounds. I think Sam getting Waller in that 6th round pick, I think everybody thought that was a pretty good value pick right there.
Yeah. I had never envisioned myself picking Waller, but he just kind of fell in my lap right there.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have passed on him at that point.
And he already put up, numbers that you're substantially happy with for a 6
Yeah, he had 12 and had an open touchdown that Carr missed him on, made a bad pass, so he easily could have had more points week one. So yeah, I'm happy with Waller for sure.
So
round.
LB looks like it just kind of talking. We'll get back to the fifth here in a second. But just LB looks like he took a really good pick with Gabe Davis. He balled out in the Thursday night game last week.
Gabe Davis is a touchdown machine.
I know. I would say, I think our saying of the draft was if you want them, you got them or whatever. And I know Gabe was going to the 7th round in a lot of places, but LB took him around earlier and, he got him. And it's definitely paid off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, lots of solid picks. I think a guy like Brandon Cooks is somebody that, I don't know why I couldn't get myself to draft him, but Jack did, and he's just going to be so solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he had something out fallen to me in the 6th, I was definitely going to draft him.
I was hoping Brandon Cooks was making it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs, man, I didn't like that pick. That was actually my least favorite pick because I liked AJ Dillon and maybe even the value of potentially like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire or like a Chase Edmonds better, to be honest. But we'll see how it pans out.
Man, I'll tell you what, Jack's with Antonio Gibson in the 6th round. He looked good.
He did.
That's somebody that was getting just everyone was out on him. And I mean, it's still, I mean, obviously Brian Robinson's going to be back at some point, but Gibson did look good for sure. Yeah,
well, he was good. It was good for Jax to just, this was after the news of Robinson getting shot, which prior to he was announced as RB1. And he wouldn't have been taken here, but Jax just, saw the value in getting Gibson there now that Robinson's out of the way, and he looks good. So maybe if he keeps his production up, which I hope he does, because I've got Robinson.
Yeah.
He'll maintain adequacy as a RB2, which is exactly what you'd want here. Another comment in our draft was everybody was big on him. The question was, how early is he going to go? And like AJ Dillon went 5.5 in our draft, which is like on ESPN, he's ranked so low. Like every one of my friends that did ESPN drafts, I told them like, get AJ Dillon in like the 7th round, which is still going to look like a reach, but turning out AJ Dillon's going to be well worth that 5th round pick.
Well, I think on the sleeper mock drafts, he was going to about 6th round every time.
Yeah. Which like 5.5 was, 6th round was like kind of early sleeper, and everybody was picking him as a trendy pick, and LB even picked him earlier because I thought I was going to get him this round.
That was a great pick by LB. I mean, he knew he wasn't. I don't think he would have made it back around.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have picked him.
I was expecting.
Oh, I was picking him.
Yeah, I was going to pick him. I knew that
was always my plan.
Yeah, I knew that.
Why I went to Juju, which I love Juju, and he was my guy like in the 6th round, and I lost AJ Dillon, and I was like, he may make it to me in the 6th, but and it looked like it. Juju was on the field as their wide receiver 1 for the most snaps until the game got away. He was getting fed. I don't think he's going to have the big play some of the other guys have, but I think he's just going to be with Kelsey, the solid chain mover for Mahomes, who throws the ball a million times a game. So
I got Hollywood with that 5'10". He's somebody I was pretty high on, but I do think if Cooks or Hurts had made it, I would have taken one of them there. But I do think Hollywood will be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of good picks this round.
Yeah.
Honestly, the 3rd round seems to be the dark cloud.
The 3rd round? You said, yeah. So that's the first 6 rounds. Now, is there anything in these later rounds that kind of jump out to y'all? I guess the big one is Collins taking Dameon Pierce in the 7th round.
PU.
And that's looking like a very bad pick.
I think I got a good value with Elijah Moore there at 7'10".
Yeah, I'm ready to see what that offense is going to look like with Zach Wilson.
I also like the Christian Kirk pick by Dylan.
Yeah, I love that pick actually.
The 7-12. I mean, I like his Drake London pick at 9-12.
Yeah, Drake
I think
was pretty good.
I think other than that, one of the ones that stands out, glaringly that Jax has already brought up is he got James Robinson in the 11th. So
Yeah,
that's a good pick. John Morgan with Dotson in the 11th.
Julio Jones in the 10th. I mean, with Godwin going down,
Yep.
and he could be good.
Yep.
he looks pretty good. I'm hoping so. I might fire him up in the flex this week. So we'll see.
Dylan grabbing Daryl Henderson in the 10th too. I mean, he PU'd it with Akers, but I mean, since he got Henderson, it might not really even matter.
Yeah.
And Drake London in the 9th, man. I said it when he got drafted. He fell a little bit, and he looks good already. So
yeah, I was hoping to get Drake, but
which I actually like for Kyle Pitts. Like I'm hoping that that people are like, dang, this Drake London kid's like as good as what he was drafted to be. So we'll see him.
So and I also like Dak at 10th.
And how about Dylan taking Rex Burkhead in the 14th round when he was literally like in the thousands on sleeper, and now he's out snapping Dameon Pierce.
So I think that is pretty wild. We all were kind of geeking laughing about it, but he ended up making the
PU in the 13th round with Jack taking Odell Beckham Jr. Just a waste of a pick.
Yeah, no, not good. Not
just
good.
A way. I mean, you could take a flyer on somebody that could turn out, and that's just somebody that is that's just a pure waste of a pick.
Yeah, another really good pick. Before we move on, John Morgan got Jahan Dotson in the 11th. Very solid pick there to get him.
Yeah. I think Dubs could be good too by Bussy in the 11th. He was their leading receiver.
I'm really excited to see what Lazard is going to look like. He's one of my guys, and I mean, I think he could be really good, and he could probably stink too. Like I'm just
I don't see him being like really good, but he could definitely be like a high floor type of guy.
Yeah. But no, I think overall everybody had a pretty solid draft. I'll talk about it later in the power rankings, but we were discussing whose teams were good and bad, and it's just really hard at this point. I see the value in everybody's team. So
yeah, to be honest, I felt like just me personally, this is the hardest draft I thought this year's draft was way harder to prepare for than last year's. And
well,
I just thought it was tough.
I think everybody was really on top of it this year. Like lots of sniping was happening. There was a lot of guys going before their ADPs, a lot of guys that were sitting back on guys that were justifiably sat back on. So lots of tough decisions to make as everything was unfolding.
Yeah, I agree. So y'all have any other thoughts before we move on?
I don't think so.
No.
So, all right. So that was the draft. Before we even played the first fantasy matchup or first NFL game, we had our first three-way trade in the history of the league. So we moved over to Sleeper this year, which allowed that to happen. And let me see, I need to find it. But at the time, we were all kind of like, here it is. So at the time, we were all kind of like PU sort of, or like, what the heck? So just to give a, so the trade happened between John Morgan, Collins, and LB. So Jane got Dalvin from LB, DJ Moore from Collins, and Pat Firemuth from Collins. Collins got George Kittle from John Morgan and Devontae Smith from LB. And LB got James Conner from John Morgan and CeeDee Lamb from John Morgan. So, fellas, what do y'all make of this?
I mean, I think for what he gave up, LB is the clear winner. CD does take a hit now, though. But, I mean, Devontae Smith literally did not catch a ball.
Yeah, he threw up a goose egg.
Like, so
I hated Devontae Smith. I literally hated Devontae Smith this year. And I think he's a good player.
Collins got absolutely licked.
So this is interesting because when the trade happened, my initial impression was that John Morgan gave up. I didn't think it was awful, but my initial impression was LB clearly walked away benefiting because he gave up Dalvin and Devontae, who I was really low on Devontae. May not be worth ever starting.
Yeah.
And then got CD and James Conner, who I definitely think is worth getting for Dalvin at the time.
Right. Yeah.
I thought Collins was neutral because I could see the value in Kittle. This is before he got hurt and everything.
Yeah.
And I was iffy on DJ Moore, which is exactly why I thought John Morgan got licked.
Yeah.
Because he gave up James Conner, CD, and Kittle, which is 3 really solid players, and got back Dalvin, who is the best player in the trade, and there's always like a little premium, I think, for getting that.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Freiermuth and DJ Moore. But you know what? Now looking at it, man, like if I'm putting myself in any one of these 3 positions after the trade, I think I would want to be John Morgan.
Freiermuth looked good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Kittle with so many question marks, and I don't know why I wasn't big on Freiermuth. I think he is good. And I've saw some people that were big on him prior to draft. I didn't see it, but maybe he didn't lose any value at tight end. Definitely upgraded at running back with Dalvin, got the best player. And then DJ Moore he didn't look great, but now you would rather have DJ Moore than
I don't know, man.
I think Collins looks terrible now.
Collins got can we cuss on here?
Yeah.
Collins got screwed.
We got going.
Impressions already a week after. Like I thought Collins was neutral, but I will say, like I thought that was just under the impression that Kittle could still be, and he may still be. Like there's going to be weeks where Kittle will win Collins games. There's no doubt
for sure.
I just think there's going to be like 3 of those as opposed to like every other week.
For sure.
But Devontae Smith, man, I was so out on him. Like I think talent wise, he's the second best option on that team through the air, but Goddard is a really good tight end, and like
Goddard looked like the number 2 for sure.
I think he is because they're gonna make plays to the tight end, like they're gonna incorporate the tight end and the way he can be utilized. Like that's gonna be part of their game plan.
Yeah,
and they run the ball a lot, so this game was kind of more of a high flyer, but they run the ball a lot, and then obviously they're gonna be looking at AJ like to get his because AJ is the 6th best receiver in the league.
Yeah.
But Devontae might have a few good weeks, but like then outside of those targets, like it's going to be split between those, Devontae and like the 2 other guys. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm still under your first impression, TJ, of like LB1 Collins was kind of, in the middle, and Jane got licked. I'm still kind of in that camp. But we'll
see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's 1 week. I mean, we can't have overreactions in week 1.
Yeah, it's one we'll definitely revisit mid-season. I would
for sure. I mean, when we have our mid-season revisit and trade episode, that's obviously one we'll look back on and be like,
I mean, he's but like I said, there's always the premium of getting the best player in the deal. And this is a blockbuster trade. I mean, this is a preseason blockbuster. Like big name.
Sure.
I love it. Great for the league.
No, I agree. Y'all ready to move on to the week 1 matchups?
Yeah, if you want to talk, me and Sam had a trade today. If we would just
okay, yeah. That's right.
It's not worth talking much about, but
but we want to bring up all trade talk on here. Yes, I forgot about that. So TJ got Jeff Wilson and traded Kirk Cousins to Sam. Sam had Dak or has Dak. He got hurt. Needed the QB depth. Jeff Wilson looks like he could potentially take over the 49ers backfield. So it's win-win, I guess, for both of y'all.
Yeah.
Here's what's happened, man. I dumped in a bag, he dumped in a bag, and we swapped them, and we're gonna plant them in our grass and pray that one of them sprouts a flower.
I mean, yeah, Kirk will hold it down for me, so I don't have to rely on Wentz or. I mean, I was going to be picking up Wentz or Jameis.
To be honest, I would have picked up Wentz and just played him and see what happened. I mean, he had a good week 1.
He did, but
He has another good matchup this upcoming week with the Lions.
Yeah, but dude, it's Wentz, man.
Yeah,
and I
actually wanted to
rolling Wentz out there just didn't sound good, and more so, another thing that factored into this is that I'm not going to say like my waiver priority, but my only guy on my team that's droppable is Devontae Parker. And I didn't want to drop Dak because maybe he comes back in 4 weeks.
Right.
And so if I was going to pick somebody up, I wanted to claim one of these. I have the 3rd waiver claim. So I wanted to claim one of these guys, one of these flex options.
Yeah. And
so I didn't feel like I could drop Dak. And so it was just something I kind of wanted to clear a spot there, so I could pick someone up.
For those like, why can't Sam throw him on the IL or IR? We don't have an hour spot in our league, so just
got like an extra bench. I think we've got like 7. We got 7 bench spots, so it's kind of like, we've just always never done an IR. And part of it is deciding what you want to do with your injured players throughout the year.
Yeah.
But okay, I actually did want to bring this up when I was looking at the overall draft board. And to your point about Wentz, let's say this. All right. My theory about quarterbacks is, and like I said, this is somebody I've waited on quarterbacks many times, but if you look at the draft board after like the Hurts Murray went, the quarterback that got taken after had some aid in that team losing. Like literally having a quarterback that is going to put 17 to 22 and not throw up 6 points is huge. And I think Wentz is just a guy that literally can lose you games too many times.
No, I agree. But I'm just talking about from a streaming option. Sam could maybe have done Wentz.
Yeah, but Sam's 0-1. Like I'll say this. So Wentz played the Jaguars, who have a horrendous secondary. I mean, it is
right.
That is their weakest link. Like their front looks good, but their secondary is horrible. Kirk Cousins just put up an easy 19 in a game that he basically shut it down in the second half against what many consider to be the best secondary in the league and a very good defense.
Right.
So, you're getting, I mean, this game, Cousins didn't have to do anything after the 3rd quarter. Like it was game management.
Right.
So, and he put up 19. So, Sam got, as far as who's going to get the most utility out of this trade, it's definitely going to be Sam. I've got Lamar Jackson, so I can never consciously play Kirk over Lamar. I just took him late. Yeah, I wouldn't take Kirk if I didn't take Lamar in the 10th round. I got him in the 14th. So I just took him late for a situation like this. And I mean, I hope Jeff Wilson stays on my bench, but I just need to have a little bit of safety net for like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see you make a good point. Well,
that's my theory on quarterbacks. Like you look at it where those fall off, man, and there's a difference in production. There really is. And you can do some weeks, because if your quarterback puts up 6 and you're playing Pat Mahomes who throws 27 on you, that's a 20-point disadvantage you're right out of the gate on.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I mean, I see your thinking.
All right. But that's the trades for the week. So
yeah, that is the trades for the week. So get on into the week 1 matchups. Let me see. Let's pull these bad boys up. So we're going to start with maybe the most interesting one of the week with Jack versus LB. Jack beat LB to start off the season 1-0, beat LB 127.80 to 126.48. Both of them got big contributions from their quarterbacks. Both of LB's RBs went off. Javonte went off for Jack. Chase did Chase things. I guess the big difference here is Cole Kmet dropping a giant goose egg for LB in that tight end position. So LB also left some points on the bench. Cordero, AJ, because those were both of them running backs because he could have thrown them in the flex. So, but what are y'all thinking on this matchup?
I mean,
I think it was a solid matchup against two top half teams.
I think LB wins if Cole Kmet's not playing in a monsoon.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably is more involved if it's not just a complete slop fest there.
Yeah, that field was, I mean, it was pretty much a lake out there on that field. I never seen a field like that.
Yeah.
I mean, CD obviously
11 targets.
Just
Reception.
brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Man. You know, this one, Leonard Fournette stands out to me though, like great pick, and Leonard's just gonna be a beast. Like I think he's gonna be this like a top 3 just steady at back this whole year.
Yeah.
And he looked really good. And we had on our first podcast, like we were talking about, Jax was the insider source. He said, man, I saw it with my eyes. Lenny Fournette is a beast. He looks great. Sure enough, he did. Jack won on a very end of the game dump off. 11 receptions for Javonte. Won't happen again.
Mm-mm.
But like I said, Javonte looks good. He's got to get more than 7 carries.
Yeah.
That's egregious.
That is.
However, he got 11
Melvin
receptions.
did look good. Like he didn't look bad, but like I mean, Javonte is just way better.
Yeah, they've got the best. Well, they've got they've got the second best backfield in the league. I would say Chubb and Hunt is probably a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, Jack has Chase, who just is going to be insane, and Cooks is just such a good pick where he got him. And then what I love about Jack's team is on his bench he's got Miles Sanders, who I liked actually, and I was he fell 2 more picks to me. And then J.K. Dobbins is going to be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And this is, LB, them two and Jax definitely have the good RB depth in the league, which is what you want.
But look at those 2 quarterbacks, man. The first and
Yeah.
third quarterback off the board, putting up 30 and 35.
Yeah. And, you know,
Herbert
there's
actually went before Mahomes. But
and there was some concerns with Tyreek Hill leaving for Mahomes, but he didn't miss a beat.
No,
I never bought into the Chiefs offense.
I will say Mahomes did this last year, had a great first couple of weeks, and then had many weeks.
It's true.
Poo-poo. So we'll see how he does, but you know, great start off for Mahomes. But yeah, I agree. Overall, just great game from these two teams that are top half in the league. I think Cole Kmet, I mean, he's going to do nothing but get better. I think Zach Ertz, good backup tight end. I like Isaiah McKenzie on LB's bench. And then, like you said, with Miles Sanders, with Jack.
I mean, dude.
Tony could end up being fine. We'll see how.
Cordero and A.J. Dillon on his bench is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LB will be getting some suitors for sure at some point.
Yeah, I've already inquired.
LB's team, very nice, but the big story behind it is LB is clearly distraught because he's never made the playoffs, and he starts out with a solid week that's thwarted from a goose egg and a monsoon. CeeDee Lamb loses his quarterback at the end of the game.
But honestly, in a way, though, that's also bad management. Like, you knew Cole Kmet was going to be in a monsoon. You knew Zach Ertz is going to be without Rondale Moore and D-Hop. So he's going to get targets, and they're playing a high-pace offense in the Chiefs. I mean, in a way, like...
That's fair.
No, you're very right, Bone. I think that's a great point, and maybe these type of things are what's kept LB from making the playoffs.
I mean,
11th.
Yeah, I think Cole Kmet's upside is higher than Zach Ertz. I definitely agree. I love the pick when he made it, but just like I said, to list the factors that I just listed out for him to still start Cole Kmet, I think is a little bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I think anybody, if you're thinking about it and you're taking all things into account, the play was always Zach Ertz this week.
Yeah.
and it would have won him the game. So
Yeah.
Kobe can be cringed out there on the unfortunate luck, but he also had a play he could have made that made sense. So we'll see.
So that's right. We will see. So moving on to Austin versus Hayden. So Austin threw up 157 points and beat Hayden 157.6 to 122.32. And, you look at these points by Austin and say, dang, his team went off. But then when you dig a little deeper into it, getting 41 points, 41-ish points from his defense kicker, and also getting a 22-point outing from Clyde really boosted his points. So just before we kind of get into Hayden's team over here, is Austin's team as good as the 157-point outing suggests?
No.
He got 43 combined from his kicker and his defense.
Yes.
That's very insightful there, TJ.
Well, I was just waiting to see if y'all had.
I think Austin's another one. I mean, man. I'm not. There's concerns with the running back position with Austin. I think we were kind of talking about it before the podcast. I mean, Henry looked not like Henry. We talked about the Titans offense. Clyde got 22. Maybe that's what Clyde does, but only 7 carries, although he had average 6 yards a carry. But
I
also,
will say with Clyde,
he
was solid,
but he also had 3 receptions, 2 of them for touchdowns, which that's not going to happen every week.
Yeah, but he got kind of like they were on cruise control in the second half and gave some work to Pacheco, which I think in a close game it's going to be Clyde.
Yeah, he came out. So that's the thing is, there's part of me that's concerned about Clyde, but maybe my biggest concern literally is that the Chiefs are going to blow out half the people they play, and they're blowing people out. In a close game, like Sam said, I do think that they'll trust Clyde. They came out and Clyde was the guy the first several drives. But they're going to be very quick to just be like, we're getting Clyde out of there. I think they trust Pacheco enough and McKinnon enough. So no, I don't think he's going to get 2 receiving touchdowns, but that's one thing about the Chiefs offense is like other than Kelsey, you can't bank on touchdowns from anybody consistently in that offense, because when they get 10 yards and in, they make the wildest plays and literally will throw it to whoever. Like
Nicole Hardman will score.
They throw to the freaking left tackle sometimes. They do jump off to the fullback. Pacheco, McKinnon, Clyde are all going to get weird quirk plays. Mahomes is going to run some in. The backup tight end, that one dude that you always think is Travis Kelce, but it's not.
No.
But Hayden calls his team cup and bums, and like Hayden had a good week. Like he was, I think, he's up there with LB for most points in the loss.
I'm very high on Schultz.
Yeah. So, I like Schultz.
Brighter days ahead for Mike Williams.
He has Cub. Yeah, brighter days ahead for Mike Will.
12
Deontay
targets for
Johnson
Deontay.
did his usual, Deontay stuff.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see if Hunt and Aaron Jones. Hunt does nothing but produce when he gets the ball.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's going to always look like this, but I just think that the output from those 2 backs is going to be about what he got this week, which is 33 between the 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's
Jones will have his weeks where he snaps off.
Yeah, and Hunt will have his weeks where he just doesn't. But one thing is it really does appear to me that Hunt, it's not like set in stone, but Hunt seems to be the preferred goal line red zone guy.
Which is weird.
I always wonder if that's because he can run the ball and catch. So that gives the defense nothing else to worry about in the red zone.
I feel like that's what it's got to be. That's what I was thinking. But I think Hayden's running back output, like, while it may not look like Hunt going 23 Jones, like some weeks it might just be like 14, 16. I just think that that's a sweet spot for Like I don't think there's an anomaly there, and I think
Yeah.
Cup is not an anomaly. Like Cup is.
Cup's an auto 25 plus.
Yeah.
I think Deontay Johnson is going to be what Deontay Johnson always is, which is just a reliable volume guy.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Williams has to step up.
Yeah.
And, this isn't something we said when we talk about the draft, but he took Mike Will, in the third round, which is a pretty early pick to take him.
I was not nearly as big, but I know like the fantasy footballers had him at like their ninth receiver.
Yeah.
I really didn't see it. I still thought Keenan is the much better option. And
I agreed with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's going to be games that Mike Williams will go for 35. There's no doubt about that. So,
yeah, I agree with that. And any other thoughts with these two? With these two teams, this matchup, I mean, I think I'll do like Austin's bench with Gainwell, Brees Hall, Isaiah Pacheco. I think Chris Olave could end up being a good player. So I like Austin's bench for sure. But any other thoughts with these two teams?
no.
So the third match that we're going to get to has a little controversy with it. And that is with Jax and Collins. So Collins was up, I think, like 112.92 to 111.82 going into the game Monday night. Everybody on both of their teams had played. So we're thinking Collins, good opening dub of the year. Well, then I noticed that the defense was getting a point for just forcing a fumble. And that's something we have never done as a league. And it turns out, or maybe 2 points for forcing a fumble. And it turns out Collins' defense had forced some fumbles that gave him the points to help him beat Jax at the time. So we took that away. And Jax ended up now has beaten Collins 111.82 to 108.92. So, Collins, we do apologize for that cringe right there. But we've never done that. So we weren't going to start now.
Yeah.
So, but overall, thoughts with the teams. TJ, you mentioned something about the draft about his McCaffrey, what you think?
Yeah.
Are you worried about him?
I'm not worried about him being good, but have we seen the days, like even if McCaffrey plays all 16 games, is his days of being in the system with Baker and like what's going on there? Like, is it over or is he going to pick it up? Because
I think he's fine.
I do too. He just, 10 carries, 33 yards and only 4 targets is like, it's not what you usually see out of McCaffrey. And they seem to like Robbie. They seem to like DJ Moore. And Baker's never been a huge dump downer. So
it's weird because we'll talk about this as we go to the matchup. Is like none of the top running backs really did that good this week. I think other than JT. And then all
did pretty well.
That makes it. Well, I'm talking about the ones that were kind of
they were at like a 50% hit rate in my opinion.
Yeah.
Swift went crazy.
But yeah, Swift went crazy mixed in, but the ones
Swift went crazy and gave up 2 goal line touchdowns.
But I'm not the top 5 running backs that were drafted outside of JT. I think like Dehan, Eckler, C-Mac Cook, none of them really did nothing. So, but let's see, Hurts and Murray, QBs that you were talking about, TJ, both of them had pretty good games. Swift absolutely went off for Collins. Diggs went off for him. But I think Collins has a little bit of an RB2 issue, although he has Michael Carter.
Man.
Yeah, he has Michael Carter, but man, Dameon Pierce doesn't look like he's going to possess much value whatsoever.
No.
I mean, I think he could get better as it goes on, but
I think
yuck.
I mean, Collins' team has definitely, I feel like, has a lot of upside. I mean, he still has Kittle. I mean, he can play getting Carter there.
Devontae Gooseegg.
But I think Darnell Mooney could end up being fine and be a good flex option.
Yeah. Michael Carter, I mean, he was really good.
Yeah, Michael Carter's good, man. I like Michael, but
So
I really do think ultimately, like, it's gonna happen to where the Brees is just Michael Carter's good, but Brees is just better. So he's whether or not he takes over or not, it's just Michael Carter. This is like his upside.
yeah,
But it looks like he's gonna have to be his RB2 for now.
yeah.
Another thing that stood out in this matchup, this is so typical of Scary Terry, man. Like he threw up 14, but like, do you really love starting Terry McLaurin? I mean, he got 4 targets,
Yeah.
1 bomb touchdown, but he's like I said, I don't like taking away when that shit happens to people, but
I mean, what do you have?
When I look at Jackson's team with Keenan Allen going out, his receivers are awful.
Yeah, which I guess you can say, yeah, who's he going to start next week? I mean, he has picked George
Jalen
Pickens,
Hurts as
Hurts,
wide receiver
Brandon
too.
Ayuk.
Yuck.
It will definitely be interesting. Maybe he tries to make a little move. I mean, he has some running back depth.
Jax hit my line, brother. I've got wide receiver depth.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure. But I think I will say Collins. So Collins and LB, both of them lost. Both of them neither made the playoffs. I like LB's team more than Collins, but I think at this point, like I like both teams. Like I think, that opinion could definitely change in the coming weeks. But I like both teams and think both of them have a great shot at making the playoffs.
Yeah. And I'm going to mention in the power rankings, at this point, I'm not out on any team not being playoff caliber.
Yeah.
Like, I think I see. But Jackson's team, like, you got, like I said, just having Nick Chubb, man, like, he just had a casual 15, no touchdowns. And dude, that guy now with Derrick Henry looking like he's maybe regressed a hair.
Yeah.
As a pure runner, now I've got a different opinion on who may be the best overall back right now, but as a pure runner, I think he's the best.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, 22 carries, 141. That's just a beast. But sadly, only 1 reception for 2 yards.
When you know that he's the focal point, but he'll get touchdowns. Like,
yeah,
15 is great. Like, out of your RB2, good. And then he's going to either have Gibson or Robinson in his flex. So, Hawkinson's not a great tight end, but I think he'll just score like enough to not.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree. So that was positive. What's that?
And Kyler Murray had like a bad game and put up 20. That's just kind of like what Kyler's capable of doing. So,
yeah, that's right. So that's the first 3 matchups. We're going to go over 3 more, but we are going to take a break real quick. And welcome back. So we have already gone over 3 matchups and we got 3 more to go. So we're going to start with my matchup versus John Tom. So John Tom, 3-time champ. And we should have mentioned this before, but Jack's the defending champ, already off to a 1-0 start. But John Tom, the 3-time champ, beat me 102.26 to 98.66. Almost a turd bowl. Not, we were 3 points away from it. So, but not quite there yet. Before we kind of get to my team, what are y'all thinking on John Tom's team? I mean, he has Herbert, who's very nice. I think Goddard's going to end up being fine in that tight end position. You have Adams there with his wide receiver 1, but with some of his other spots, flex, wide receiver 2, RB2, I think there's some question marks.
Love Herbert. Love Devontae. DK, I mean, for where you got DK, I think he's going to be
fine.
I think DK's good.
Yeah. I mean, DK.
I guess Gino looked better than Gino ended up looking better than I thought he would.
Mike Tom on the bench, Mike Tom, he didn't start him obviously, but
that's the managerial move of the week.
Yeah, that was the blunder. Even it didn't. He luckily, I mean, the unluckiest manager lucked it out, but yeah, that was a bad move.
Yeah, so that's the key thing. I mean, Mike Tom, 5 receptions, 8 targets, 57 yards, 2 tuds. That could be end up being a huge difference maker for John's team.
I'm big concerned on Najee. Big.
So I am too.
Seems like the foot's a lingering thing right now.
The foot is not good.
I mean, just we didn't really mention this, talking about Deontay Johnson, but that the Steelers offense is just
It's disgusting.
it's not good. And I guess Deontay, I mean, he's probably good. I mean, both Najee and Deontay are probably going to be safe bets to get you. I think their floors are high. But
I don't think that the offense is worse than it was last year, though, is the thing.
You're probably right.
It's really not.
It's really not. And with Juju, which I know Juju didn't play last year anyways because he was hurt, but Juju officially gone. They're going to get more opportunities, about the same as last year. You're right. The offense isn't any worse than it was last year.
Well, I don't know if Mitch is going to dump. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, at the first sign of any sort of stink, he was dumping it. And I don't know if Mitch is going to run around and do that sort of thing, and more so than he's dumping it off. So, I mean, that hurts Najee for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben was Mr. Dump Down.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. ETN, I think is going to be fine. I don't know though, man.
That backfield is going to be really interesting because James Robinson does seem to just be a solid guy. Like that. Maybe they just turn into both are playable. Truly, that offense I think is going to be better. Trevor Lawrence looks better. So
yeah, I was like maybe the Jags. Of course, the Jags not like they have a great wide receiver option. ETN's a great receiving back. Of course, so is Robinson. So maybe.
I think Robinson's going to be formidable for a while, but I think ETN will ultimately develop into somebody you trust more in your lineup every week just because he's going to get.
I will say he is coming off a torn ACL, and he's this is technically his rookie year.
It was Achilles.
Not to have.
Or wait, you're talking about Robinson or ETN?
I'm talking about ETN.
His was an Achilles, right?
No, ETN was
ACL. Robinson was the Achilles. So maybe they're just wanting to play him safer, being just, younger and a first.
Well, he also missed out on a couple touchdowns. I just think he's going to have a higher floor ultimately than Robinson, but they're both. I don't think either. Well, ETN has the potential to go RB1 territory, but
I think they're both low end RB2s right now.
Yeah,
at this point, with ETN with the higher. Probably the higher ceiling, probably higher floor too. Really, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, but ultimately on John's team, like he's good at quarterback, and I actually like his receivers with Tom Adams and Metcalf. But his running backs just scare me, and like Goddard is not really a plus or negative. He's just kind of there. But we don't talk about this ever, but like ultimately it's getting more and more important. He has the Bills defense on the bench who just went crazy against the Rams. So, I mean, they might be matchup proof and they might put up a lot of sacks and a lot of turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that division, man.
Yeah. And Von Miller's there now. Like
4 games against the Patriots and Jets, who are both poo-poo.
Yeah, on the offensive end.
But to wrap up the matchup, nearly a turd bowl. Bad just matchup here.
Bambi's team just didn't perform. I wouldn't be concerned.
Yeah. Your big performance was Amon-Ra. Very good to see.
Yeah. A-Rob, poo-poo.
Lance and Monsoon, which you couldn't have. You probably would have played Stafford if Stafford was playing on Sunday, but he didn't even do good. But you wouldn't have known it was that conditions for Lance.
Yeah, which Lance still outscored him.
Yeah, no, I know that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But like, if they were both playing on Sunday and you saw what was going on, you probably would have. Stafford.
Oh yeah,
Jarvis Landry on your bench has got to be very encouraging with 9 targets.
Yeah, and Melvin Gordon's just is like a guy that you'll like on your bench.
Yeah.
Well, you can plug Melvin in at any time.
Yeah.
He should have had a touchdown last night.
Are you panicked on Allen Robinson?
No, I'm not.
Reaction or no?
I wouldn't sound the alarms yet.
I'm not. I mean, look, the Bills just absolutely dominated
Yeah.
line of scrimmage, and Stafford, I mean, didn't have any time to get him the ball.
You know,
But look, he played 97% of snaps, which I think is very encouraging and very good to see. I think this is a big week for him, though. He has the Falcons coming up, who just gave up 2 big wide receiver games to Jarvis and to Mike Tom, and part of that's because of game script. You know, the Saints had to battle back and throw it around a little bit, but still, they gave up two big fantasy performances to wide receivers, and their defense isn't nearly as good as the Bills. So I'm not really concerned with them. I'm not really concerned with Trey Lance. I mean, we all saw how the playing conditions with that game. So I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not really worried. I will say, but go on.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and this is the case when always taking the tight end position early. But to see Mark Andrews, anytime Mark Andrews, he outscored Dallas Goedert, but only by 1.2 points. Anytime that happens, more than likely I'm going to lose. So that's a risk. Although this week I could very well easily have won with him doing that, but more than likely that I'm going to lose when that happens. Again, 10 points from your tight end is always fine, but not when he's your second pick of the draft.
I think next week is big for Trey Lance.
So yeah, they got Seattle, which actually their defense put up a fairly good fight against the Broncos. But
Russ still went over 300 yards.
Yeah.
You just want to see Trey Lance settle in and just look good, I guess. Even if he put up a huge game.
I will say, and he had 13 carries, which I really like to see.
Yeah, and he was in the monsoon, obviously.
Yeah, he was in the monsoon. I will say this
Next week is big.
that I mean, I was able to watch most of that game. And there was a throw, I think it was maybe second quarter. And I'd already monsoon once, and it was just kind of light drizzle at this point. Of course, field was so awful, but he had Tyler Kroft, the backup tight end for the 49ers, wide open on like a corner out. If he hits him, it's probably a touchdown, and he overthrew him. It's not what you want to see. I don't know if that's because of a wet ball or what, but I think Trey had a pretty good preseason. He was playing in awful conditions, so we'll see what happens. There's a reason though I drafted Matthew Stafford as well.
Yeah, no, I think if I was taking Trey Lance at the end of the draft and the mocks, I was always grabbing another quarterback like the next round. Like I was going like Lance Cousins, But one final thing on the matchup, I think we've exacerbated everything already, but I think we need to make a league rule. This can be a new addendum to the league. Mike Davis should never be on a team again. It's time to ban Mike Davis.
Put him.
It's so funny. I was actually looking at the draft board from last year, and Sam, I can't believe you drafted him where you did last year.
Well, dude, I mean, I didn't. He looked good for the Panthers that year before, and I mean that was just a pure hold your nose, hope he can get you 12 a game, and he was doing that before, and then I shipped him off. But yeah, no, I hated the pick, but yeah, I mean it worked out for me, but that was just pretty gross.
Yeah, I do also want to say this before we move on. Garrett Wilson on my bench, a top draft pick, wide receiver for the Jets. 4 for 52, had 8 targets, which I thought was good to see.
Encouraging game from him.
Hopefully, between like Thielen, Jarvis, and Garrett Wilson, at least hopefully 2 of the 3 can step up, and maybe I can use for some trade pieces at some point in the year.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too. I thought that was promising, but we'll move on. We need to move on.
So moving on to Dylan versus Jane, and this was another one that could have been a turd bowl. Dylan beat Jane 103.38 to 89.90. And looking at both teams' quarterbacks just PDU'd. Jane's running backs played a lot better than Dylan's, but Dylan's wide receivers played a lot better than
AJ Brown, man.
And then really the difference is also that tight end position where Kelsey outscored Njoku by 25 points, 24 points. So just looking at Jane's team, I think Jane's team is yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not.
I will say this though for Jane. Look at his team. I mean, he has John Dodson, who had a pretty good game last week. You know, 3 for 40. You know, he had 3 receptions and 2 of them were tuds, but I think that's still a good outing for a rookie. Fryermuth, yes, he looked good, so maybe that can stabilize his tight end position. I think the main thing Jane is hoping is to survive, and still be in contention by the time D Hop comes back.
I don't know if he'll be able to do it.
Bobby Trees is gross. Bobby Trees is borderline droppable.
Yes, yeah.
And Josh Jacobs, I just don't know if he's gonna. I mean,
I'll say this: I just don't. Okay, I'm not big on quarterback wide receiver stacks. However, or quarterback running back stacks. I mean,
Yeah.
However, sometimes it can work when you've got like a quarterback that can independently have a good game, like because they can run the ball. But like with a guy like Derek Carr, I just feel like Jacobs or Carr is not gonna have like a big week because either Carr is gonna have to throw 3 touchdowns to have a big week, or like Jacobs is gonna have 1 or 2 in.
Yeah.
Well, those 2 guys to me are truly an example of, and like Jacobs doesn't get receptions too much. So like they're truly an example of 2 guys that I just don't think mutually can both produce.
I like a Brady Fournette type of stack where he's going to be throwing it to him.
Yeah, that's I agree, and that's fine.
Jacobs is not getting any targets in that offense.
I just don't like that stack at all. But he's got Jonathan Taylor and Dalvin Cook, and listen, if DJ Moore starts playing well, which he's very well capable of, he still got
DJ Moore to step up.
And Fryermuth, you know, maybe Fryermuth is like a top 5 tight end. Actually, who knows, man? So.
Maybe so. And, you know, TJ, you or Sam, you just brought up Brady. Brady, 10.38 points. You had all the offseason stuff, the weird preseason missing games and everything. You know, I think there's some concern with Brady, maybe. You know, is this are y'all not?
No.
I think
they were dominating that game. Like there was never a concern. It was always game management. You know, Lynn ran the ball a lot. Brady, listen. So here's the thing. My takeaway from this matchup is Dylan was the unluckiest guy this week, truly, because Godwin and Mitchell both got hurt, who both would be in his lineup.
And Akers goosed.
Second, Tom Brady just was in a weird game. He played well. He looked great to me still.
Yeah. I will say I did not get to watch this game, so I'm just basing this on stats.
Brady's fine, and he's going to put up big games.
Yeah.
Kamara is definitely not going to be what he was in the past, but I think he's got like better games ahead.
What are the concern levels on Kamara?
Like,
I think he's
a 5. I think I'm a little more concerned than some, but not terribly. Like I think he's fine. Like I am still valuing him as a very.
I guess it was a weird. Like they got down and he wasn't gonna get the carries. But I would have like
off to him.
I I don't like seeing him only getting 4 targets.
Yeah.
Especially for only 7 which he'll have more.
Jameis is just not Drew Brees, and the offense is going to be different.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this about Dylan's team. And Dylan got away. Like, so Dylan won this week. So all of these things like didn't end up factoring away. Like if Dylan didn't get hurt, he would have had the best, deepest team in the league. Like if Dylan's guys didn't get hurt, he was number 1 on my power rankings. Because Kelsey seems to be maybe this year more than ever. If Pitts doesn't step up, if Mark Andrews because one thing about Mark Andrews is him and Lamar, he actually was tied in 1 because of his production with Huntley. So like maybe this might be Kelsey's, and Kelsey at this point is the guy in the offense. So this might be the biggest positional advantage he's ever even produced. And then you look at it, like I didn't like Cam Akers initially, but to be honest with you, man, if Cam Akers is really bad with him having Darryl, I actually liked that better for him. So
I think was he has
And Daniel
Burkhead.
looked good. Like I was reading, like I thought so too, and then I reinforced like, what I saw. Like his stats didn't look good because they were against the Bills, but he like looked explosive and actually 13 for 47, and like
Yeah.
he converted some big first downs and fought through some contact and caught all of his
Mhm.
targets. So I like Daryl.
Yeah, I think was
Drake London had a
yeah, he
nice
has
debut.
Burkhead. Yeah, he has Drake London. I think we'll see what Josh Palmer can do.
Christian Kirk, man, might be a stud.
Yeah, I think Christian Kirk is a stud, dude.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I didn't get in any leagues that I wanted to get, and it just never worked out. But Drake London, like if Dylan's guys didn't get hurt, man, he had running backs, he had wideouts, he had Kelsey, he has Brady, who's like not top 5, but I love having Brady.
Yeah.
Man, Dylan, if he can get through and Mitchell can come back, like he'll be good.
Yeah.
So
I will say before we move on, I do want to give just a little shout out to JT for 31 carries, 161 yards, a tud, four receptions, 7 targets, 14 yards. He's a beast.
JT was always the first pick, man. Like
Yeah,
I told
he's a
people,
beast.
I saw the C-Mac hype, but in my eyes, it was always JT.
Yeah. I agree with that. So moving on to the last matchup, and between the two other hosts right here, TJ versus Sam. TJ in a dog fart, 151.42 to 102.96. Fellas, I'll let y'all take it away. Just what y'all's thoughts on y'all's teams, the matchup. Have at it.
Sam,
Yeah. You want to go first, TJ?
you got it.
Well, I'll say TJ's team snapped off, obviously. I mean, I said it before the game even started that Jay Jettis was about to take my soul out of my body, and that is what he did. Saquon absolutely torched the Titans defense. And I mean, you had that one deep ball from Lamar to Bateman, and that was pretty much chalk right there. I mean, Juju was solid. I thought Penny looked good last night. He didn't really put up the points, but
Yeah.
I mean, I thought
he got he literally got like 45 yards of rushing called back on penalties.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, on my side, obviously Dak, I mean, it wasn't the injury. Dak just sucked it up. But I mean, now that he's hurt,
yeah. But if you have a normal performance from Dak, you actually don't even have that bad of a week. Truly.
Yeah. But
yeah, you don't.
I mean, on my side of things, Mixon looks like if he's healthy for 17 games, he's looking like he's a top 5, maybe top 3 back. I will say I had 2 guys playing in the slot fest with Demont and Debo. So I think Debo was targeted 8 times and only converted 2 of them. He also fumbled. I think Debo puts up a lot more points if it's a normal game there. Waller had a touchdown where Carr missed him. I think this was about the worst my team could have performed.
Yeah, I like Sam's team. Like he said, he had 2 slot bowls. Now Montgomery, concerning.
Yes, that's what we were going to talk about.
Yeah,
Montgomery's a little concerning, but Debo being able to put up 13 in a slot bowl, like I think he's going to average 19 to 25 a week. So he got 8 receptions still. Very nice. I think Sutton's going to be a guy that I'm going to fire up in my DK lineups next weekend because I think he's going to get a deep tud next weekend.
They tried to get two deep balls to him, and I think one of them was just missed. One of them they got a pass interference on.
I think I'm going to go with Mike Williams and Sutton next week, man, because I think both those guys. Well, actually, Mike Williams is Thursday night.
So. Sutton had a weird they didn't target a single receiver in the first quarter, but it was just kind of weird. And then Sutton got really heavily involved in the second half and got wide open a few times. I think, and they play the Texans next week. I think we see Russ settle in, and Sutton and Judy probably both have nice games next week. And
Yeah.
they the thing that does concern me though is that their coach is a fucking moron. So you never really know with that. But I mean, Russ and Sutton, I think they're going to be fun.
Yeah.
I think Sutton's going to be really good. But yeah, I am a bit concerned about Demont.
At least you have Herbert.
I do have Herbert, but if that just turns into a timeshare, then that's not good for either of them.
Right.
You got to like the volume though, which is promising. Is he going to keep it? Like, are they going to dock him for this game? It was against probably the best run defense in the slop. The only thing is Herbert looks better, but like Herbert could have just got the ball in like a few better opportunities. Like
the thing is that Montgomery got 17 carries, and I think Herbert was kind of like Montgomery was probably worn out, man, from just laboring in that shit. And then you kind of bring in Herbert late. Herbert obviously got the touchdown. But yeah, this was pretty much a worst case scenario week for me. But I will say on my bench, DJ Chark, I am very encouraged with that.
Yeah, I think you've got a good bench. I think you've got a good team. I think
Elijah Moore too. I mean, I like both of those guys.
I think this was a battle between two top half teams. If you're looking at, the starting lineups, not factoring kickers and defenses, mine definitely outperformed anybody by the most. And that's with Pitt's having a 4-point game. So that's really what I'm looking for on my team. Now, obviously Jettas and Barkley aren't going to go for that much every week, but those are two guys that are capable to do that any week.
Those are two studs. Saquon looked amazing.
So earlier in the show, and I really didn't want to really. I'm trying not to do bias on my team, but like it does. I said Nick Chubb, best pure runner in the league, probably right now with Derrick Henry taking a step back. But man, like if Barkley stays healthy and looks like he did with his receiving abilities, and he looked like the best running back in the league.
He's just so explosive.
Yeah.
That
So
looked like
I saw some tape on him too, and he was making really good cuts. He was leaning, he was getting the yards where he could, and his ball carrier vision was really good this week. So he looks really sharp. And I told them at the draft, I drafted him just because I read a report as I was looking between Barkley and Fournette that he's out to prove people wrong this year. So
yeah, that's what he's saying.
But and you could tell, like when he got that 2-point conversion that he fought for, man, he was
I thought the Titans had him, man.
Yeah.
The Titans.
The bowl may make those Giants competitive, man. Like Danny Dimes stinks, but they've got weapons and the O-line's not bad. So
yeah.
And they got Barkley who can clip it at any point. So but that's it. I think this was a good matchup. I actually think this was another matchup between two top half teams. So that's that's it for the matchups this week. Do we?
I will say, I like Sam. I still like your team. I think your team's fine. TJ, your team's definitely in the top half. I still think if Pitts doesn't you need I don't really I'm not crazy about Bateman and Juju. I like Bateman better than Juju, but I'm not crazy about either one. So I really think Pitts.
I'm so the opposite, bro. Juju had 8 target. Juju was out there more than anybody and had 8 targets, 6 for 80.
I'm
not crazy about either of them, but I like them. I like them both. I think they're both fun.
I'm much more worried about Bateman than I am Juju. Like I think Juju is going to be. I said it earlier. I
think I said it wrong. I think I said I'm like Bateman more than Juju. I meant the other way around.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just history with Juju, and I don't know. The good news is Godwin is out for who knows how long, so you at least have Julio, who is
I mean, between Julio, Lazard, my wide receiver, I'm not too worried about. So between Julio, Lazard, Bateman, and Juju, I think I'll have to. Well, Juju should be my steady wide receiver too, unless he got hurt. But I would flex. But okay, so to comment on my team though, one thing I don't like is my bench was pretty thin, and so we all were looking at the weekly report Sleeper does, and I won the award for most efficient manager because I got the maximum amount of points I could get based off what was scored on my bench, which, you can call it most efficient manager, but that might just be a signal as my bench sucks. So
Tough
um,
decisions there.
I think that's actually more. So like, I think in my opinion, because especially with Pitts, in my opinion, I do think I have the best starting lineup right now, especially like Lamar didn't even really run the ball that much. He didn't have to look good throwing it.
Mhm.
But my bench is a concern. But I think I addressed a little bit of it with Jeff Wilson because I've got guys like James Cook and Brian Robinson who may have value later.
Yeah.
But that's all for that matchup. I thought it was a good matchup. Sam had some unfortunate thing happen. All right, before we move into the power rankings, I saw one thing. What do y'all think is like the one thing you would say to not overreact on from this week?
With like our team or just in general?
No, just in general. Like
think-
anybody across the league, like who should you not overreact to?
I'm not in your instance, TJ. I'm not overreacting on Pitts.
Okay. I hope so. I'm not overreacting yet, but he does scare me. I was huge on Pitts. Like,
Yeah, I think Pitts is fun.
Yeah, I think Pitts is
ahead.
fine. I was gonna say, I mean, just in Collins' team as general, I think Collins' team has a lot of upside. So I wouldn't like over react to that, to like his team.
yeah.
And just I guess with my team, just not overreact with like A-Rob at this point.
If A-Rob stinks next week, then I'm sounding the alarms.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think my overreact. There's one, don't overreact on Henry yet. I am concerned, but I think he still could be great.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But two, I don't. Everybody I think is looking at, and AJ Dillon I do think is good, but like I think better days are ahead for Aaron Jones too.
For sure.
Like, I think he's gonna get thrown the ball a lot more.
Yeah.
He still put up 10.6, so
Yeah.
that's
I agree. TJ, for real quick before you get into the power rankings, I'm just gonna read off who plays each other next week real quick. So I played Jax. I think right now I'm projected like 3 more points than him. Sam, you got Dylan. I think Dylan's right now is projected 10 more points than you.
I'll have a new defense in.
But yeah, you'll have the Titans projected one point. So yeah.
I'll have
TJ, you're projected to beat John Morgan right now by like 12 points. I don't know if Jane plans on doing anything different. Right now he has Amari in over DJ Moore, which is interesting. John plays Collins and is projected 3 more points to him. Hayden's projected 4 more points over LB, and Jack's projected 4 more points over Mason. So those are the matchups. And again, it's week 1, so don't overreact. And week 2, if you lose week 2, start 0-2. I mean, still nothing to overreact about. I will say this, just from a mental standpoint, this would be big weeks for LB and Collins. Just for the mentals, it would be big for both of them to get a dub.
Yeah, the way they both lost week 1 is like almost
brutal.
It's a gut check for those guys.
Yeah,
you gotta, you already feel like the league stacked against you, and then to lose the way both of them lost is so brutal.
Yeah. I agree. So, all right. So that's the matchups for week 2. TJ, your time to shine. Take it away.
All right. I've actually flipped back and forth on a couple of these people, as I've been going on. Like I said, disclaimer. I will make a point at some point in the season when I'm like thinking that a team is just not a playoff team and it's over for them. I don't think that's the case for anybody yet. However, at the 12th spot, starting off, I'm going to start with John Morgan's team. Like I said, I don't like the Jacobs car stack he's got going on. He's weak at QB. He's weak at wide receiver. Weak at flex. Like really weak in all those spots, it seems. But he does have the best RB 1-2 punch, which fair enough. Like those two guys can win weeks, JT and Dalvin Cook. So And if he can, get to D-Hop, if he can get to D-Hop at 2 and 4 or 3 and 3, he's going to be in the mix. So not like panic. I don't like the rest of his build right now. Fryermuth's promising though. At number 11, I actually dropped him down after we were talking about it. And I think this is a result of injury right now, but it will be our defending champion, Jax. Losing Keenan Allen is big for him because that was like his weak spot. I think, Burks, Pickens aren't valuable yet. Burks might be at some point.
Mhm.
So, his wide receivers now are AU, McLaren, and that's going to be his two guys he's putting out there, which is a disaster. But he does have C-Mac, Chubb, Kyler, Gibson, and James Robinson on the bench. So, I love RB depth. He's got it. If Keenan Allen gets back, I think he bumps up a few because Keenan's really good. But Jax is at 11 right now. And then at 10, I'm going to have John Tom's team. John Tom's team has we talked about it, really good receivers. Herbert's going to be a beast. I've got to see, if Najee and ETN end up producing what they can, John Tom's team all of a sudden can jump into the top half very easily. But I'm very hesitant on his RBs, and he does not have anybody on the bench that looks too desirable. And it looks like Tony Pollard, not going to be great to rely upon either. So John Tom has potentially the worst running back situation in the league, which is always scary. But he's got really good receivers and a good quarterback. His tight end's neutral. And then at number, man, this is low, I think, compared to what a lot of people think. But I do actually have Austin Mason at 9 right now. So I like Austin's team, but if he's going to be ranked higher, then Derrick Henry has to perform. If your number 2 pick ends up not being good, then you're going to struggle really hard. Like I said, he scored the most points last week, but his kickers and defense really just went nuclear. And Judy, to me, is going to be very volatile. He scored a really large touchdown. His team really rides the back of Tyreek and Pittman. And then I'm concerned about Dawson Knox too. They were in a very high-flying offensive game, and he got 2 targets. So, and Russell Wilson is he's just an average quarterback, fantasy-wise. So Austin's at 9, which is maybe surprising considering he scored the most. And then I'm going to have Camby. I actually dropped you down 1. I'm going to have you at 8. So I've got Camby. Actually, no. Sorry, I did miss this. Collins is actually at 8. So Collins' team is not bad, but we've talked about the concerns. But if Kittle gets back and plays okay, I'm not giving up on him just yet. He can be all right. And Devontae Smith needs to show a pulse of something. However, he does have T, who should get back from concussion. Michael Carter, Diggs, Swift, Hurts. Hurts might be number 1 QB this year. So I've got Collins at 8, and then I've got Camby at 7. Who will be Camby's at 7, and I think Camby's got a solid team, but we need to see Eckler step up. I think we need to see Trey Lance questions be answered. I think Chase Edmonds is going to be like where he was last week, just get like 10 to 15 points. And he's got Mark Andrews, which is a plus, but so he's got questions with Lance and Allen Robinson. So if those get answered, and then seeing Mark Andrews step back up. All right, moving into the top half. I actually have Dylan at number 6. Am I on the right number right here? I've gone 12.
Yeah, you are.
Okay. So Dylan at 6. And like I said, Dylan didn't lose two important guys. Dylan, I think, is number one here, but I think Dylan's a top half team. I like Dylan's team a lot. And when healthy, I had a lot of depth. Daryl Henderson looks very promising. Like he's the lead back. Kamara will step up again. Kirk, London, Kelsey, like Dylan's team's still really good. I might even still have him low at 6 just because of those injuries. But if he's healthy, man, deepest team, best team in the league. So Dylan at 6, and then I've got Hayden at 5, who I actually raised quite a bit as we were talking about it. Hayden, I think Burrow is going to be good. I think Aaron Jones and Hunt, like I said, are going to be very consistent at RB for him. Like not to where they're crazy, but they're just going to do good enough. And then I think Kupp, Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, and Schultz have a lot of potential. He's got Gallup on the bench, which would have been nice if Dak didn't get hurt. But maybe they come back kind of coincidingly. Hayden at 5, I like the team build there. His bench is a little thin. And then I've got Sam at 4. I think Sam had a very minimal output week from his roster. I think Cousins is a good addition for him. Could be an MVP type season from him. I think Mixon's a top 3 back. And Debo, Sutton, Marquise Brown, and Waller are going to be really good pass catching crew for him. If Monty ends up like still being that guy back there, I think his team's really solid. Number 3, I'm going to have LB's team. Tough loss for him, 0-1, but LB really does have a good team. He's got a really good bench. He's got great running backs. I still want to see Gabe Davis get more targets, but he is a touchdown machine. If he keeps that up, I mean, he's going to be great, but he's got Josh Allen. I mean, god dang, dude, that dude's going to average 26, 27 points a game. Lenny, James Conner, Dylan, Cordero, tough. I mean, he might bench CD Lamb next week, which is crazy. Probably will, to be honest. And then at number 2, I do have myself with the concern of my bench is not very thin. RB2 could be a little better, but I think Saquon has RB1 in his range. If you look at all the seasons in the past, Saquon's RB1 season is the next best aside from C-Max in like the last 6 or 7. And him getting those 7 targets while also kind of being that bell cow rusher that looks really, really good. I really, really love Saquon, and Justin Jefferson just it looks poised to have a Cooper Kupp type year. So if I can match up like a wide receiver 1, RB1 combo, it's going to be really nice. And then the other pieces I like, but my bench kind of sucks. And so for number 1, actually, he kept saying his team was stacked. He pulled out a win with a solid number this week. I will give it to Stack Gardner at number 1 right now. I think Zeke is okay. I don't like, but he's not going to have to start him. I think Miles Sanders is actually going to be a good RB2. Javonte Williams, I do think will put up low-end RB1 numbers. Mahomes is going to be crazy. Chase is going to be a top 3 guy that puts up those week-winning numbers. And then he's got Cooks and like if Dobbins is good, then he could be very solid. Renfro, you would figure has to do better, and if Jack can upgrade at tight end at some point, he's gonna be in a good spot. So those are the power rankings for now. They're subject to change, and like I said, I think everybody's team is pretty good in some way at this point. Any big discrepancies?
No, I think, I think all that's fair. I think you made good points for every team. And you said none of these teams are definitely out of it. It's just week 1. Trades will be made, injuries will probably happen, and we'll see where we are this time in a couple weeks.
Yeah. And man, I'm actually really curious to see. I mean, Dylan's team might even climb up still with these injuries. Like when I was reading through, if he didn't get those injuries, man, he was so deep.
Yeah.
Deep. But
We'll see. That's right. We will see what happens. Can't wait to look looking forward to the season. Sam, any closing remarks before we head out of here?
I don't think so. Best of luck to everybody this week.
Yeah.
Let's keep the voodoo
Yeah.
down.
It was a long podcast this week, but I think it was necessary given
It
that
was long.
Yeah,
I
it
was
was
sitting
long.
here looking through while you were doing that. I was going through some possible trade scenarios
Yeah.
with one certain person.
I
Mm,
bet we'll have a trade to discuss next week.
I hope
I've got some things in mind that make sense. So we're gonna see.
Will we see another 3-team trade?
I don't know about that.
So, well, Sam, thank you for joining us. Hopefully, we'll get you back on at some point this season. TJ, as usual, thank you for joining. We will be back
Next week.
Back
It won't
next
be as
week.
long next week, but we need to discuss a lot of things.
Yeah, we wanted to discuss the draft and then the trades and everybody's teams and all that. So, like I said, we'll be back next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. And good luck to everybody. Go Titans. Go Cats. See y'all later.
Let's go.
See ya.